Okay, I have been doing stuff on the Avanti, and I've got a lot of stuff done, but it's still rough. Anyway, I had some questions from people about rebuilding the steering insulator and flange that attaches the steering column to the steering gearbox. I have the gearbox apart. There's the poor little thing all gutted. But anyway, so I thought I would show you guys what I did. And if you want to do it, it's really not too huge of a deal. So I went to NAPA and I got this nifty kit, which is a 630-1012, and it's called a steering coupling disc kit. Okay, comes on this groovy little gray card, see? And comes with these nifty instructions, which you're not really going to follow because you're not doing a Dodge. I think it says this is for a Dodge or something. But it's the same size. Everything fits. So, I don't know what I did with the old one, but it was pretty disgusting. Oh, here it is. I don't know if you can tell, but it's got a big rip right there. And I was thinking, I'm going to wind up in the bushes. So anyway, here's the new rubber piece already mounted on here. And as you can see, you're going to reuse these little washers that go over the edge of the thing. These replace the two pins that are right here. This is one of the old ones. There's a large one and a small one. Not really sure it matters which one goes where, but I put it together the same way. So the small one was where the small one used to be. Against the steering flange. And then there's the steering flange. This is the guy that bolts into the steering box, slides down onto the steering box. These pins stick up through the top flange, which I still have mounted on the car, and then you bolt through these holes to the top flange using, they give you groovy new bolts. See how nice and pretty they are? And you reuse these old washers just like you did on the bottom flange. That basically keeps these are going to go on the other side, so they're going to go like that, and that will keep the rubber from squishing too much and allow you to tighten the bolt down tight still. Now, you will notice on these old pins, see how these have a shoulder right here? This shoulder keeps this from, other side again, the shoulder keeps this from pulling down too far, because when this shoulder hits the edge of the flange, it stops the bolt at the right height. The same thing is with the new ones. I thought I was going to have to drill out this flange, and I nearly had the drill press set up to do that, and I didn't need to, so I'm glad I didn't get that drilled out, because that would have probably ruined the thing. So don't drill out these holes in the flange. You don't need to. The bolts fit right through the shoulder. The bigger part fits through the rubber. Everything's golden, so don't mess with that. The other thing I didn't tell you about, originally, you're going to need one of these or something like it, or you might be able to use a hacksaw if you have like all day, but frankly I didn't feel like I was going to live that long, so I just used this, and I ground off. These things poke through the old flange, and you can see how shiny that is on the end. That pokes through, and I just ground off right here. I ground off the head, which I would show you, but they're all ground off. It almost looks like a rivet through this thing. So I don't know if that was a rivet, or I don't know how they did that. But anyway, I just ground those heads off, and then I just drove the studs out. Just had the thing sitting on the vise like this, just drove the old studs out. Put the new things together, and hey, presto, $13 later, I may not wind up in the bushes after all, like I was going to with this guy. The only installation bugaboo I expect to have is, as you can see, that bolt head is pretty close to the nut, but I think a thin wall socket will still get to it okay. And if you had to, I suppose you could remove this nut, put the thing, tighten this thing up on the flange, the splines the way you want it, and then put this nut back on. Now, I have this flattening out right now. I'm squishing down the rubber a little bit because they give you these groovy lock washers that are supposed to go under these bolts. But because this flange is pretty thick, there's not quite enough room to start the nut on that bolt. So I'm flattening it down a little bit right now, hopefully. And then next week when it's time to put it together, I will pull these nuts off and install those lock washers. So right now, my plan is to have the lock washers, and I will also put Loctite on the bolts because I love Loctite. I've driven British cars for years, and without Loctite, you have to tighten every bolt every other week. So that's it. Sorry my workbench is such a pigsty, but I hope this will help you guys out, and it's, $13 well spent, I think, if it keeps you out of the weeds and the guardrails. Later.